We're all good.
Good, good.
Energize your microphone. I'd like to call this meeting of the Princeton City Council to order. Clerk, call the roll.
Mayor Mabry.
Here.
Councilmember Newman.
Here.
Gomez.
Here.
McCall. Here. Kransky.
Here. Would you please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, we're at public comment. Public comment is at the beginning of the meeting as well as at the end. You can speak both times. All you have to do is come up to the microphone and state your name. Is there anyone here who'd like to speak to the council during public comment session? Seeing none? Sorry.
Darn it.
What do we do now? Well, if you're, I know where to find you. Sam Fisher. Just real quickly, I was here probably 3 or 4 meetings ago about the Open Meetings Act. You guys made some improvement, but there's much more to do. And so you had asked a question when I was here last time if I would be willing to help. So I'm offering my help to go to every one of your board and commissions to talk about it, and even if we need to look at the software how to do it. So I'm available if needed.
I think that's great.
Okay.
I appreciate that very much.
Thanks.
And we will reach out to you with the times and dates and things like that for those commissions.
And then let the county know I'm coming for them next.
County? we stay out of the county business. We're supposed to be out our own.
It's going to be a tax sale.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Rick.
We're going to go ahead now and approve minutes from the regular council meeting September 18th, 2023.
Move that we approve the minutes from our regular council meeting on September 18th, 2023.
Second.
We have a motion and second. Any comments from the council? Seeing none, clerk call the roll.
Councilmember Newman.
Aye.
Gomez.
Aye.
McCall. Aye. McCransky. Aye. Mayor Mabry.
Aye. And now we're going to go to invoices, please.
Next on the agenda is the invoices, and in the department for this this period in the Department of Accounts and Finances, we have invoices totaling $75,043.06. In the Department of Public Property and Utilities, we have invoices totaling $348,956.43. In the Department of Streets and Public Improvements, we have invoices totaling $201,156.72. And in the Department of Public Safety, we have invoices totaling $242,867.32, for a grand total of $868,023.53. Mayor, all council members present have confirmed their reviews of all invoices and now are submitted for disposition.
I move that we approve the invoices as presented.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the invoices. Any questions or comments from the council? Seeing none, clerk call the roll.
Councilmember Newman.
Aye.
Gomez.
Aye.
McCall. Aye. McCransky.
Aye.
Mayor Mabry.
Aye. Now we'll go to ordinances, please.
Next on the agenda is the second and final reading for Ordinance O-23-013. This is an ordinance authorizing terms of a First Amendment to a site lease agreement for antenna co-location on the City of Princeton water tower. Again, this is the second and final reading. Mayor, all council members have reviewed this ordinance and it is submitted for disposition.
I move that we approve Ordinance O-23-013.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any questions or comments? Seeing none, clerk call the roll.
Councilmember Newman.
Aye.
Gomez.
Aye.
McCall.
Aye.
McCransky.
Aye.
Mayor Mabry.
Aye.
Next on the agenda is suspension of the requirement for a second reading for Ordinance O-23-015, authorizing the sale of personal property no longer necessary to support operations of the City of Princeton. Mayor, all council members have reviewed this suspension requirement and submitted for disposition here.
I move that we suspend the requirement for a second reading of ordinance O-23-015.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any questions, comments concerning that? Seeing none, clerk call the roll.
Councilmember Newman.
Aye.
Gomez.
Aye.
McCall.
Aye.
McCransky.
Aye.
Mayor Mabry.
Aye.
Next on the agenda is ordinance O-23-015. This is an ordinance authorizing the sale of personal property no longer necessary to support operations of the city of Princeton. This is a fire brush truck. Mayor, all council members have reviewed this ordinance and it is submitted for disposition.
I move that we approve ordinance O-23-015.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and second. Any questions or comments? I just would say, is there anyone here from the fire department tonight? I think they're going to be sneaking in here in a few minutes to discuss an open house coming up Saturday. This is a brush truck that, as Pete mentioned, is no longer necessary. The city has a new brush truck, and they worked in-house to get it equipped. So they took a Dodge chassis, and then they added the tanks and pumps and things like that. And so this brush truck that we're selling is no longer necessary for the operation. If you notice, if this is a 2002, so the city has had this truck for 21 years with 11,000 original miles. So it'll be a great piece of equipment for maybe an adjoining community that can bid on it to hopefully keep it in our area to be used. Okay, go ahead, clerk call roll.
Councilmember Newman.
Aye.
Gomez.
Aye.
McCall.
Aye.
McCransky.
Aye.
Mayor Mabry.
Aye.
Next on the agenda is the first reading of ordinance O-23-016. This is an ordinance authorizing an employment agreement with the city manager. Mayor, all council members have reviewed this ordinance and it is submitted for disposition.
I move that we advance ordinance O-23-016 to the second reading.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any questions or comments? Again, I'd like to just make a quick comment. The city's been very fortunate to have Teresa Wittenauer as city manager for approximately 3.5 going on 4 years. Teresa's not here this evening. She's on vacation for the next couple of days. But the council met 2 weeks ago in executive session to discuss her contract, and we're renewing her contract. It's a public document if you want to see it. We're real pleased to have her. Her term runs concurrent with the mayor, so I'm going to be on board for another 3.5 years, and she will too. And then the next council can decide what they want to do. We've been very pleased with her services. We had a nice discussion with the council and her commending her for her work. So again, we're glad for this. And clerk, go ahead and call the roll, please.
Councilmember Newman.
Aye.
Gomez.
Aye.
McCall.
Aye.
McCransky.
Aye.
Mayor Mabry.
Aye. Are you doing our city manager report?
City manager report is the police pension report, which is in your packet. I only included the summary page, and you'll notice that the pension balances are appropriate for this stage of the careers that we have in process. And pretty sure we'll have more about it next month when the next report comes out. So,
Very good.
no concerns.
Thank you, City Clerk Nelson. Okay, now we're on to the mayor's report. And what we're going to do, I'm going to step down to the podium for just a moment. A couple things that go on from week to week that we get involved with in a positive way was we were invited as a council to attend it's called the topping out ceremony out at the Ollie's Distribution Center. And so it wasn't really a groundbreaking ceremony because they've been out there working for the past 5 months. But it was in building a building, they have structural beams, and they had a beam that we all signed. So the Ollie's Corporation invited us to come out, and they invited the City Council, they invited the Planning and Zoning Commission, they invited department heads, and they invited previous Mayor Joel Quirm to come, and because his era saw this project to get started and to see it through. Also, Mayor Keith Kane was invited, and Keith's involvement was 15 years ago. It's hard to believe it's been 15 years. The city invested in that property under Keith Kane's leadership. So we had a nice ceremony. The folks from Ollie's, there was a president and 2 vice presidents that flew in, They were going to spend a day in Princeton, then go on to Iowa to open a store in Iowa City. That was going to be their 500th store. They spoke very highly of the staff. They said that when they looked at the number of communities to relocate to, that both Mayor Quirm as well as Peter Nelson and Teresa Wittenauer really came shining through with what they were able to communicate to them in a timely fashion, and they really liked the community of Princeton, what they saw. So it's a win-win for the community. As you watch that building being built, they hope to have that up and running about a year from now. So that's the plan. So we'll see, and jobs are already being created with all the construction work going on out there. So very good meeting at that ceremony with the Ollie's executives. We have two things. Actually, we have three. Hopefully the fire department will sneak in here and talk about their open house coming up this Saturday. We have two invitees tonight for the Positive Princeton. We're going to start with the Shadow of the Blue and Gray. It's going to be held this month. And representing the Shadow of the Blue and Gray is Debbie Johnson. Debbie, would you like to come forward and give us a little report of how that's going and what to look forward to? Please. Right there, and I'm going to sit down.
Thank you for inviting us to have a talk with you. Shadows of the Blue and Gray is a Civil War reenactment. We are an educational experience, an educational event. If you've ever been out there, this is our 28th year having this event. So it's been going on for quite a while. We're really looking forward to our 30th in 2 years. We've got some really big plans for that. We have school kids come out on the Friday. And this year we have over 250 kids coming out of junior high and homeschool children. And so we have, Hector comes out, he helps with it every year. And we have a great group of people that come out and help educate the children. But our event as it is, if you've been there in the past, it used to be this huge, huge thing. And over the years, it has fallen down some. I won't say fallen down. It is just not as big a scale as what it was. And we would really like to see it get back bigger than what it is right now. The only thing hindering us is finances. We don't have any big corporate backers. We don't have anything like that. All the money that we are able to spend is money that we raise with raffles and different fundraisers that we do. And we do have a few businesses that will donate some money to go towards something. But I don't know if there's any way that we can get the City Council or the City of Princeton to help more with this event. It's not a council event. It's not a chamber event. It's held out at the City County Park, but we are our own thing. So I guess my question is there any way that we can get any more involvement and any more help from the City of Princeton for our event? Because I will be honest with you, we are really looking forward to our 30th year. We don't know if it's going to be able to continue on after that. And we are one of us in Galesburg. They have theirs in August. We have ours in October. So technically we're the second longest running. We're both at 28 years, but only by a couple months there. And then we bring revenue to the city with this. We have a few thousand people come through on the weekend. We put people up in lodging here. Some of our reenactors, we use the shops and the Walmart and the restaurants. And so is there a way that we can work together more for the city to help with our event?
Have you applied for a tourism grant?
Yes, and we do get that. But that covers just for our advertising. So it costs this much to put it on, and we get this much to help with advertising. Everything else that we do, we have to pay for out of pocket.
Does Galesburg have the same constraints?
Oh, no, they have a lot of big backers.
So are there any that might be in this area that you could attract? Same kind of corporate sponsor?
We've gone in the years past, we've gone to businesses. We've sent, and I know this year, one of our members went out door to door to different businesses, to some of the different businesses, sent out letters. And we don't just do it here in Princeton. we go all around Bureau County and hit different businesses, and we put it out there on social media, and, you know, we do everything that we know to do to fund this event.
Does the county offer any financial support?
We don't get any financial support from anywhere except the tourism grant and what we are able to bring in.
Jackie, what are the dates for this?
It is October 14th and 15th. We have a battle on both days, 3 o'clock on Saturday, 2 o'clock on Sunday. But we have 2 new things coming in this year that we're really excited about. One of them is an actual cabin is being brought in, and they teach, and they're going to be part of our school day, but they're going to be teaching or doing cooking, rope making, I mean, just a whole display. But we were reached out to, and we have someone coming that's for training Underground Railroad. And so we're really excited about that, considering, you know, the history with that here in town.
Well, this is a really important event. We really need to keep this going.
We would like to see it, but
This is really
it's difficult every year. Every year we are like, we just had another fundraiser at Culver's last week, and like we're watching every penny that we have.
What kind of funds does it take you each year to put this on? Like, it's not covered.
About $12,000.
I think this is a really important event that we have to keep this going. Really do whatever we can do.
And we would like to invite any of the council members on Friday at 1 o'clock. So we have 3 different times for school days. And at 1 o'clock we have openings. We would love to invite any of you to come out and just go through the different stations and see what the children are learning, the junior high kids are learning. And it just kind of gives you an idea of what we do. But we invite everybody to come out and just spend a day, and we have food and we have drinks, and the reenactors love to talk with people. This is what they do, their passion.
Very good, Debbie. Thank you. So there's our homework assignment. Debbie, we as council members, Debbie, will get out there. If we can't get out there Friday, we're still invited Saturday or Sunday. We'll come out and be on the ground and get a better feel what this is about. I haven't been out there for a few years myself, so we look forward to doing that. So thank you, Debbie, for being here. When we talk about Positively Princeton, we talk about nonprofits, we talk about small businesses that we have in our community. And it's always fun to see a small business that is quietly humming along. And this is a business that is owned by 2 local individuals, and they're going to tell a little bit more about their business. And it's Michael Bowman and Steve Keitzer, and it's called Elm City Axe Boards. So you're going to think, where's Elm City Axe Boards? They're in a quiet little location, and they're going to tell more about their company and how they founded it and what they do with their axe boards, things like that. Come on up, guys. We'd love to have you. Welcome.
Yeah, as Ray said, that I'm Steve Keitzer. This is Mike Bowman with the owners of Elm City Exports. And we currently own the building at 1119 North Church Street and have been running the adjacent building from the city of Princeton for several years. And just want to say, first of all, thank you for renting it to us. It's been a great asset and helped the growth of our business. Just a little history. In 2015, we started off. We set up a small sawmill there. And we're doing basically hardwood sawing. We're doing, oaks, elms, ashes, things like that, live edge slabs, specialized in for several years, and custom milling and things like that. In 2018, one of our customers came in and was purchasing some stuff and said, do you have anything? I throw axes for a sport. Is there any sort of wood that might work? And he kind of listed off some characteristics, and we said, let's try this cottonwood and see what you think. So we gave him some cottonwood boards. He took them home. A few days later, he calls back and says, wow, these boards are really, really good for this sport. Do you ever think about selling them? We're like, no, we don't really know anything about axe throwing. We just know about wood. And but then, he said, well, you should really look into it because it's a sport that's growing rapidly and it might be something of interest. So we reached out to the World Axe Throwing League, which is kind of predominant, like the NBA or whatever you want to call it for axe throwing. And they said, well, as it happens, that we're having our first World Tournaments in Chicago this year. So if you want to, why don't you bring up a board sample? We'll have best throwers throw on it and see what they think of it. It's like, okay. So we didn't really know what to expect, and so we took some boards up there, and after the tournament, the top thrower, I believe he was from Denver that year, and he threw on it. Some other guys said, wow, this is really good. And so at the time, you got to see there really wasn't a market for anything other than SPF. That's how all their targets were done. Is they would set up their targets, they go to Lowe's, they go to Menards, Home Depot, whatever it is, cut down 2x10s, put them up. So that was the industry. So there wasn't anybody out there selling other woods. There wasn't anybody out there producing products to direct ship to the customers. So a year or so went by, I talked to them on and off, and had a couple small orders. Then we got an order in 2019. I think it was about 300 boards, and we're like, wow, 300 axe boards. Wow, that's incredible. So anyone wants to board, how are we gonna make 300 axe boards? To us, we're making like 10, 20, 50, whatever. So we got it. So we ended up making 300. Took us a while, longer than we thought, and then got them out and stuff. And then it kind of just started from there. So in 2022, last year, we shipped out just shy of 200,000 axe boards. About 3.5 million pounds of freight went out up there. And we shipped to every single continental state in the United States, Canada, Puerto Rico, and this year we have our first shipment that's going down to Mexico and possibly to New Zealand. So we've grown quite a bit over the last few years and stuff, and quite a bit. So, but yeah, just as I had jotted down earlier today, we have our our invoicing coming in over the weekend. Invoicing comes in the weekends. We're putting out this week too. So far, Oklahoma, Maine, New Jersey, New York, Texas, Wisconsin, Michigan, Florida, Georgia, Canada, Kentucky, and Ohio, and I'm sure there'll be more orders in this week. In the process that we've expanded a lot. Like I said, with building up to that's helped us out a lot, and we need to figure out a way to kind of what our next step is in growing the business, and whether it's a lot of some sort of upgraded services, building there, additional yard space. A lot of the stuff is seasonal, so you'll get logged in sometime. Sometimes a year, so you got to have a lot of yard space up there too. Yeah, we'd just like to ask if in the future there's any way we could work with the city for a longer term arrangement or possible purchase of the property to help our business keep growing in the future. Any sort of consideration in that aspect would be greatly appreciated. So, but thank you for everything, and thank you for supporting us over the years and helping us grow a business. Yeah.
How big are those?
They're an inch and a half thick, and this year we actually expanded our product line to incorporate different things. So before their standard was 9 1/4, inch and a half, 4 foot long was the standard, and so we also started incorporating a 2-inch thick product, a product that's 5.5 inches thick, 4 foot long, and also a new system that came out a couple years ago called Lasertron boards, and they're 2-inch thick, 6 foot long, 9.5 inches wide. So we're expanding those markets this year. We also got a exclusive partnership with World Axe Throwing League that will start next year too, as the official board of the World Axe Throwing League. And if you guys are ever watching TV and you see axe throwing on ESPN World Knife-Throwing Leagues, those are all our boards. So we do all the big tournaments all over the country, anything that's on TV, anything that's everywhere, that's what we do. So yeah. So
Is it just the woods that's more forgiving when?
Yeah. So the wood product is, well, for one, we figured out a way we could ship it out wet, and when it's wet, it handles a lot better. But in nature, that cottonwood has kind of a crossing grain structure, so when they access, it's very resilient. So a lot of the hardwoods that they would normally get, they would, you could throw the good axe throwers, they'd go hard and just hit, and they could just split, and then, it's shot. So a lot of the says it has kind of a crossing grain, very forgiving, almost self-healing, and they last substantially longer than any other product out there. So, but cottonwood for other uses, that's not a very good thing. Makes it all fuzzy and stuff. But for axe throwing, hey, it works. Yeah, yep.
You find your niche.
Yeah, I guess so. You never know where it's going to come from, right? So work for that opportunity.
Any other questions from the council? None of us knew you were there, except you're such a quiet little company. It's great.
Yeah. There was no action off the Princeton. Yeah, so much for Princeton. So
very good. All right. Thank you very much. Okay. Well, there's probably a market if you had political pieces or pictures of people on the front of the board. I'm sure that would be interesting between the Democrats or Republicans throwing axes at each other. Okay, very good. Thank you very much, my guest, Stephen. Thank you. Okay, we're going to have on our agenda, we're going to have a building permit update next meeting. So in 2 weeks, please come back, and Pete's going to give an update for the past 9 months as to what's been going on in Princeton with building permits, both residential and commercial. And as Pete said, there's been a lot of activity, so we're looking forward to having that in our next meeting. We're going to go ahead now and go to old business. Is there any old business coming before the council? Okay, now we're going to go to new business. And tonight, the Historic Preservation Commission is going to be speaking to the council. And we've got 4 or 5 different commissions, pedestrian bicycle, Historic Preservation, the Tree Advisory Board, and Pension Board. Yeah, we have lots of boards. We have our Planning and Zoning Commission that meets, and these are all appointed positions. So people in the community take their time, they volunteer, and they take their time and expertise to be on different boards, giving back to the community. So the representative that's going to speak, or all of them are going to speak tonight to the council, give us an update what's going on and things like that. So if they want to come forward to the podium, that'd be great, please.
Come on, Abby.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys, for having us. My name is Michael Ziering. I'm the chair of the Historic Preservation Commission. I'm more or less just fill the void. Not a preservationist expert, really just a passionate individual. Grew up in this town, love our historic buildings. I think we can all agree, like Shadows of the Blue and Gray, this town is passionate about its history. The buildings make the backdrop for every important event we have, from the concerts to the parade to almost everything we have. The backdrop is these beautiful historic buildings we have. And recently in our meetings, we've been discussing these buildings are dropping like flies. We have buildings burning down. We have buildings collapsing. We have buildings not being cared for. And it really concerns us that eventually we're going to be a ghost town of buildings that aren't there anymore, that if we had just done some simple things, they could have been protected. And so we start thinking, and for the past year, we've been discussing, is there an ordinance that we can pass that can protect these buildings? But none of us are lawyers, none of us are attorneys. We don't really know how to make a document like this come up that works for everyone. And I know we have some realtors here, and we all want it to work for everyone here. And our main goal is really just to protect these buildings from fire, from maybe some aesthetic things that aren't appropriate, that aren't time appropriate. Structural collapsing, like Princeton Tire, I think, is a real shame that we lost that building. it collapsed on us. And I think regular inspections, things like that, can really protect these buildings. And we are coming today to the council to ask for your opinion on whether something like this would ever apply. We're asking if this is something that you're willing to work with us on, if you would be willing to give us some input, if you would be willing to workshop this with us to come up with something that works for everyone so that we quit losing these buildings, so that these buildings are protected moving forward for future generations. And that's really all that we are hoping for. I know I sent that email out. I hope you guys didn't take that as on the offensive or anything like that. I have a couple copies if you want to get back into it. But really, I just wanted to bring up some of our concerns, and that where we're coming from is we don't want to stifle any investment. We don't want to stop any property transfers or anything like that by having too strict of regulations that aren't going to work. We're not Gettysburg, Pennsylvania or something. We understand that, where these buildings are national landmarks, but these buildings are important to a lot of us. And we think that there are simple laws and regulations that can be adopted via a simple ordinance with simple language that just says, listen, when you go to improve a building, how about doing time-appropriate materials? And that is something that I think can be, reviewed in a building permit application from the Planning Commission that we just have some input on. We're not asking for, to be given that power of denying certain permit applications. We're just asking to have some input moving forward based on an ordinance that we're hoping that you guys can work with us on to adopt. So, do you guys have any thoughts on, how you feel about a historic preservation ordinance, or how we might be able to accomplish this as a community? I would definitely be open to hearing your thoughts. Thank you.
Speak first, Mike, if you don't mind. So, council members, would you like to offer some thoughts?
I'm not sure about an ordinance, but certainly an active committee would be appropriate. But I'd have to defer to the legal part as far as an ordinance that would be a law.
So we kind of feel that without having an ordinance in place, there's nothing we can actually do. I mean, we can advocate as much as we want.
I understand that, but as far as making it a law that would be, held accountable, that would be hard to put together. But I'm not saying it's not impossible. I'm just saying that outside of a committee that could possibly provide recommendations versus actually an ordinance. But that's just mine. Thank you.
Thank you.
And I was going to say, these buildings would have to have designation as far as historic.
They do.
I'm guessing with something like that, you can probably have a few more things that you can add to it that are very specific. If it's historic, if it's designated as a historic building, as far as the upkeep and the maintenance of it, and as far as the appearance and everything else, the GPM report and then historic rustic, as some people say.
Other owners out there on Main Street that embrace the idea. We agree with you that there should be restrictions because there may be responsible owners, but there are others who may not be.
Well, I think that's something that would be taken into consideration during the process. I mean, try as we might, we were trying to come up with a method of getting this ordinance passed in a way that brought in voices. So we were planning a seminar. We've had a couple seminars already where we could advertise it and have any concerned party come and give us feedback on, whether they support, parts they don't like. So we were definitely hoping to get as much input as we could moving forward.
Because ordinance also has enforcement.
Right.
That's the hard part.
Right.
And how do we do that without discouraging people from even buying an old building that's historic? Believe me, I fully support the notion of protecting these properties. But we need the cooperation of the owners as well.
I think
support your plan.
I think owning a historic building, you take on more responsibility than you're buying a machine shed or something. And I think, that being provided that information up front, when you go to acquire this property and you understand that, if I want to make renovations, it's going to be time appropriate, I think, just compiling information like that and then assisting with enforcement, I think it would make this all more doable.
I think the tough thing is, like, if it's a business on Main Street, for example, there's a cost of doing business as is, right? And business is not easy to run a business and make money and be profitable, right? So if you're doing time-appropriate materials, it's going to cost more than what a normal repair would, depending on what you're doing. And I think that could come into play working against us a little bit on the business side, is what I would be worried about. I'm like Jerry and all over here. I'm all for the history, and I want to keep that history as much as I can. I'm born and raised in Princeton, and I plan on living my whole life here. But it gets to be a little touchy, I think, when you're talking to people's businesses that may be in there now, or may want to come to town. Does that deter them from coming to town, knowing it could be more cost? I don't know. I'm just kind of speaking out loud, right? No, that would be my biggest worry when it comes to that. We wouldn't want to deter anybody from coming to town if it's something they're worried about. Hey, if I got to repair this, it's going to cost me double what it may be.
But I absolutely agree that I love your passion about keeping something like that alive in Princeton. That's paramount. I hate to see that it's entire, not be there as part of our heritage.
And I think if that building is upkept under specific laws and regulations, that building's sitting there vacant for 10 years, but it's still standing. It's still a safe building to be in. The right person comes along and turns that into an awesome restaurant or turns that into an awesome store. But if we just keep letting neglect destroy these buildings, there's not going to be the blank canvas for the right person to come along and take. And that is our concern. Is we want to keep these buildings standing. We want to make sure that they're still somewhat time appropriate, and they still continue to serve as a backdrop for all the important events we have in town. And we think the right method going forward is to adopt some sort of ordinance, again, that works for everyone.
I think the enforcement part is the toughest part, because if you require that of an owner, let's say they're out of money, let's say they fell on hard times, right? And now who does it fall on? I mean, the city doesn't have that money to be able to repair these buildings, so who does that fall on? So it'd be impossible to enforce, would be my worry about it.
Yeah. So we're exploring things about, say you have a vacant storefront or a storefront that's just being used as storage. If this is simple as, if you're using a building as storage that shouldn't be being used as storage, then you either have to, open up for business hours or sell it. And I think there's simple things like that can be done that can make our Main Street more vibrant.
I mean, we have an owner on South Main Street that has a building next to the property that is using it for storage. I can't imagine us going up to them and say either open up a store or sell it, and they would go along with that. Well, I mean, at least the beginning would be cover the windows so it doesn't look so bad, because it is.
I think it creates blight, and I think as a whole, we have a huge push for tourism right now, and I think the blighted neighborhoods really can detract from our tourism. I mean, you look at somewhere like Galena, you look at somewhere like Ottawa, these buildings are upkept in the fashion in which they were built, and they're doing great. So
I think taking a swipe at this issue is important. I think to be done.
Thank you.
Yeah, I agree.
And gather some folks, owners should be part of it, and your guys, and maybe help create something that would at least be a beginning. See what kind of pushback, feedback you get, what kind of participation.
I think we might get something tonight, so looking forward to that. Does anyone else on the commission have comments?
I don't really have anything prepared, but what we're asking isn't unique. So many of the vibrant communities that we've discussed have these ordinances. Galena, like we mentioned, and we had sent you we like that one because it's less of a legal document. It reads more, it's easier to digest. They have one, and who doesn't want to be Galena? I mean, they're obviously doing great, and part of their draw, their tourism draw, is that they're a historic community that clearly takes pride in their history, and they maintain it. And, I mean, beyond that, most of this, for Main Street, I think what we would like to do, because it's in a historic district, then it wouldn't necessarily be an opt-in, but we are doing residential homes as well. There's so many old homes in this town that are, they're all at risk. Anybody can, purchase these homes and do what they want with them, and that's, that's normal, that's whatever. But we would like to have an opt-in portion of the ordinance as well, that a homeowner could decide that they would like their property landmarked, and that would designate it as a special historic property. And then and it's true, the enforcement is difficult. We would basically have to overlook all of the permits or whatever if somebody wanted to pull exterior work only. The Galena one, I think, had some interior stuff that we're not into regulating people behind closed doors. But as far as exterior work goes, then it should be, proper and period appropriate. But again, it's what we're asking for is not anything unusual. Even Dixon has one. A lot of the western suburbs have them. Streeter has one. Yeah, there's so many of these communities that are similar to ours have these ordinances to protect their history. I feel like if we're not going to protect it, we can't consider ourselves a historic community. And we are called the Preservation Commission, and if we can't do anything to preserve our history, there's no use for us to be in business. We could be considered a historic celebration society or something like that, but we're not doing anything to preserve our history if we don't have any sort of authority.
Do you know if there's a designation as a historical property, is there any incentive at the county level on property taxes?
That I don't know. I would have to look into that. It's mostly just pride of ownership, and as I'm a realtor in town too, and if you can list your house and you can say, hey, this is a plaqued property, this is a historically significant property, that adds to the intrigue of the property, and it could, boost sale prices.
You know that some counties don't. I own a historic landmark building, and we received a 30% discount in our property taxes because of that.
That's awesome. I had no idea.
And we had restrictions, and we were fine with that, but we got something in return.
Yeah, I myself lived in a historic plaque home in Elgin as well, and yeah, if we wanted to change the paint color on the outside of our house, we knew it moving in, going into purchasing the home. So, we can make an informed decision. It's not like we just went into it.
So for the record, could you just state your name?
Oh, sorry, Catherine Unzicker. I've been on the Preservation Commission for a few years.
Thank you.
Michael, do you have anybody else like to speak? Michael Stutzky? Michael?
Good evening, Michael Stutzky. 5 years ago, when I retired to this community on a full-time basis, I became involved in renovating buildings on Main Street, which I've had a passion for. One of the concerns that I have, as I think any owner of a building on Main Street would have, you make an investment to improve a building, but the buildings that are adjacent have not been well maintained. And all it takes is a fire. We saw what happened over in Mendota. And it could be devastating to the city of Princeton. It's the charm that we offer people to come. This is the first time in 5 years that I have seen our vacancy levels as low as they are. And that's wonderful. But in order to maintain that and to hopefully grow to the point where we're 100% occupied, I think we have to protect this asset. I know that my buildings, and the reason that I wanted to be part of the Preservation Commission, that historic designation is just a nice thing to have. You don't get anything for it, but it's the pride of ownership. And I think that if we had some teeth in what the Historic Preservation Commission is attempting to do, that would encourage owners to spend some money on their property. A simple paint job can make a difference. Tuck pointing your brick can make a difference. There's a lot more that we can be doing, but I think what the Preservation Commission is trying to do is to be able to reach out to the owners of these buildings and homes as well, and say, we want you to be able to buy into what historic preservation is all about. You own a building that's in the historic district. You own a home that quite possibly can qualify for listing on the National Historic Register. It's part of what Princeton is about. And so I think that's why there is some frustration on the part of our commission as to, where we stand, what we can do, and what you will allow us to do in working with owners and suggesting to them that here are some things that would be good for you to look at in improving your building appearance. It's all positive, but we just don't want to meet and have a good time for an hour, discussing these different projects in town, but then knowing that there are buildings that are vacant in town that any of us can do anything with. I certainly like the idea of perhaps finding a way where if you own a building, there's some tax incentives. Maybe that would be a way to get a building owner to say, you know what, that's worth it. To your point, and you're absolutely correct, if anybody thinks that you're going to renovate these buildings for peanuts, I stand before you telling you that is impossible. But you don't do it for that. You do it because we love this community and what it has to offer. So any help, guidance, things that Michael has asked for, we would greatly appreciate it. And I thank you for your time.
Okay, anybody else would like to say anything? I'd like to make a few comments. Michael, you want to?
Yeah.
Why don't you stick around? There's a microphone that we can see. So, I think all of us in this room would agree there's nothing more frustrating than people using your time in a way that you feel like you didn't get any return on it. And I mean return, we're not talking about money in your pocket. We're talking about feeling that you have added to a worthy cause. So when I made a few notes here, first off, one of the challenges we have is we had a zoning enforcement officer that was really dedicated to do that. That person left, I think they went over to LaSalle County. We never really replaced them, so Pete's table or Pete's plate was fuller of stuff to do. And what we need to do, Pete's going to be retiring in another, say, year and a half. We need to make sure we get a zoning enforcement officer. So as a council, we're really only about 4 months away from discussing our next budget. We've got October, November, December, and into January we discuss the budget. So as council, we need to look hard and fast and say, hey, if we can have a full-time tourism director, let's go ahead and invest the money in at least a part-time, if not full-time, zoning enforcement person that can get out there and do zoning enforcement. Because a lot of times we want to add a new rule to the books, but yet we haven't been able to enforce the rules that are currently on the books. And I hate to throw something else on the books that, we won't get started on these blighted properties, except, I can look over there at North Chestnut, the 600 block North Chestnut, and we talked about that 3 years ago when we were discussing chickens, whether we wanted chickens next door to you or this property that's in the 600 block. And unfortunately, 2.5 years later, it's still a pretty rough piece of property over there. We have blighted properties. We need to get them an enforcement officer on board that can spend the time to do that. So as a council, be thinking about that. That's going to be a challenge to us to come up with the funds to do that, to put a little teeth into that in a positive way. I think about Michael Stutsky and his wife Sue, the investments they've made on these properties. And the interesting thing to watch is, Michael and I have talked about this, you own a property, you fix it up, and it looks great. Then if you sell it to somebody, and it seems like I'm going to pick on some of these absentee owners that don't live in Princeton, those properties soon go back down the hill, sliding back down. Michael, you know which one we're talking about, one of them over there by the railroad tracks that you own, and your pride was there and what you did, and I go by there, and there was a car parked and the weeds were growing around it all summer long. We know which property it is. It's a shame. So we need to make sure our absentee owners know that we expect a certain level out of them, because they may be in another community and they only come to Princeton once every 3 months to fix a toilet, otherwise they're collecting the rents. So absentee owners create a problem for us. When you talk about the difference between your concerns over residential and retail, I like the idea if a residential homeowner says, I want to put my property in that program, they know then when they go to sell it that they will let that next buyer know beforehand, hey, this property's in a protected zone, so to speak, or my home is, and so anything you do, you're going to have to get permission through an organization, through the city. So as long as we know that, we get to saying, we do the same thing with retail property. It's a challenge. I'd say that trying to make the numbers work as a small business owner, right? I would encourage the Preservation Commission to go back and say to themselves, okay, let's have a meeting with the managing brokers. The managing brokers, there's two of them here tonight. I don't know if the third one's here, fourth one. They have a vested interest. One of their preamble is that they are supposed to protect the rights of being able to own home ownership as well as buildings. And so these are the folks that we need to resource to say, can we do something like you're proposing and make it work? Because as Jerry and the rest of the council said, it's all about the enforcing of it. How do we enforce it and be fair and not scare people away? So we got some things to work on. The city's going to work on coming up with the funding to have a zoning person on board. That way it'll eliminate some frustration on our part as well. We think about absentee owners, what we need to do to get a hold of these people and make sure that they maintain their properties, especially once they've been brought up to speed and then they start working their way back down. And so I would just say, if you just stick with this a little bit longer, don't bail out, okay? I was told a long time ago the government moves slowly, and for us that are self-employed, we want to keep moving. I know that. We don't want to be the mouse in the sticky trap. We don't want you going away from your thinking that you're the mouse in the sticky trap. So thank you for what each of you do. Give us a little time to get the zoning enforcement person in place. We've got some good things going with the fire department with their building familiarization, and they're working on that. And the fire chief's going to talk to us in just a minute about something else. We can also just touch on that too. So I want to say thank you. As a council, we all appreciate what you're doing.
Yeah, thank you all for hearing stuff.
And so good. We call this an alibi. We're gonna just, it could be. Fire chief is here. He's going to speak to us just for a moment, if you would please, about the event coming up this Saturday. And also, if you don't mind, just discussing your building familiarization, how you're working on that project, please.
Fire chief, first and foremost, sorry between lost cleats and a basketball game. I finally made it here. So Sunday starts off Fire Prevention Week, which is in remembrance of the great Chicago fire. We haven't done this for a long time, but we're going to have an open house Saturday from 10 to 2. At 11, noon, and 1, there will be a demonstration, ladder truck demonstration, extrication, and a fire behavior in a little dollhouse that's really cool that shows people, like if you leave your doors shut, how that saves it, and just the dynamics of a fire when it's building. There'll be a children's obstacle course, and then free fire prevention handouts for children. No paying for the spray, but hot dogs, chips, and refreshments while they last, so please come on. The building familiarization tours. We're moving slowly but surely with everything else going on. We've had people call us and want to come in, and we've had the opposite, where we don't hear, and we're currently and not in the future going to be enforcing anything. It's just for our safety to get in the buildings and know what's next door and everything else. Obviously, we'd love to see buildings all monitored and stuff like that to save in the future, but decisions that we kind of caught the end of those things. But that's what we got going on Saturday.
Very good.
So there's people that just don't want you in their building?
We have not been told that, Jerry.
Oh, okay.
But the phones don't ring back. So I usually tell them about free calls, leave them alone, we move on so we don't get bogged down. Sure. We've got one shift working east side of Main Street, east side, one west side. We've started at English Shorties and Four Seasons. They're working north. The other shift is doing our higher life hazard stuff, the chemicals or the occupancy. So that's where we're at now. And the information's been invaluable to us. So, and me and the deputy chief are doing the thing world-wise.
Great. Chief, thank you very much for being here tonight. Thank you.
Sorry.
Okay, is there any other new business this evening? Okay, and now we're back to public comment period. Geraldine, feel free to come up.
Hi, I'm Geraldine Woodley. I am an eclipse observer. On the 14th, next week Saturday, there will be a solar eclipse. I hope on Saturday past you saw that beautiful full moon. Well, if you remember, in your science classes, in 2 weeks, there's a new moon. Now, this time, the 93 million mile away sun and that 86,000 mile away moon and the Earth are all going to be lined up. Please do not try to look at the solar eclipse and burn your eyes. Do not take your phone and take a picture of the eclipse because it's going to ruin the phone and ruin your eyes. There are many videos, many YouTube things on your phone. Take a look at them. I talked to Walmart. They don't have it in the stores. 4 years ago, they did have the eyeglasses, but you can get them online. There are a few stores in town that are offering things, but just go online if you really want to see something. It will be about half covered. There are some interesting things you can do besides burning your eyes. You can take a cardboard, poke a hole in it, and have another piece of cardboard down below, and try to focus that sun on there, and you will see a half a sun, because that's what's going to get covered. Or if you're near a tree, and through the leaves on the ground, you're going to see half formations of the sun. But please do not burn your eyes. I've talked to too many people from 4 years ago. And if you're really crazy, I'm giving a talk tomorrow at the library, and you'll see lots of pictures then. But anyway, please be careful. If you really want to see it, check, some of the stores in town that might be carrying something, or just go online and order the glasses for yourself. Okay, thank you.
What time?
Oh, pardon me. Okay, somebody said, what time is tonight? I said, no, the sun is out. Basically, it will start about 11:30 and run through about 1:30. But about 5 minutes to 12 will be the maximum coverage here. Now, what's unusual about What's unusual about this eclipse is that the moon is very far from us, and it doesn't cover the entire sun. So what this one is called is the ring of fire. So what happens is, if you've seen pictures of an eclipse, usually what you're seeing is the moon covering the base of the sun, and you see the corona. This time, there's actually going to be a ring of the sun around, called the ring of fire. And that's why you can't look at it, even if you go out west or south to a place where there will be the path of totality. There isn't total. This one's called annular, and that means ring, that there will be this ring of fire to see. So it's something different. The last time probably here was maybe in 92, something like that. But it's interesting. Burn your eyes, don't ruin your phone.
Wow. Yeah, we're learning an awful lot tonight. We appreciate that. So, one more time, Chief, this Saturday from 10 to 2 is the open house. Bring kids, grandkids. If you're an 80-year-old kid that wants to go climb in a fire truck, bring yourself. But come on down to the fire department. And as the Chief said, this has not been done for quite a few years. So thank you, Chief, and your assistant chief for putting this on. Thank you very much. Okay, anybody else for public comment? Okay, seeing none, Jerry, if you would, we'll move.
I move that we adjourn our regular meeting this evening and convene in executive session under Illinois statutes and reconvene for our next regular council meeting on Monday, October 16th at 6 o'clock at City Hall.
Second.
Motion and second. Clerk call the roll.
Councilmember Newman. Gomez.
Aye.
McCall.
Aye.
McCransky.
Aye.
Mayor Mabry.
Aye. This meeting's adjourned. Thank you very much for coming.
Somebody